Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Let There Be Talk. Today is April 20th, 420, Thursday, 420, dude. 420, dude. Whoa. 420, totally, dude. Dude, this fucking podcast is brought to you by Elko and Harley, dude, man. You need a fucking motorcycle, bro. You just puff, pass, and head down to El Cajon. And, dude, you get yourself two wheels. Totally, dude. Get a fucking chronic cycle, bro. Woo, 420. Head to El Cajon Harley. El Cajon Harley. El Cajon Harley, the finest motorcycle dealer in America, in the world, selling the finest motorcycle, Harley Davidson. Yes, you know and have heard about Harley Davidson. You know you want one, and maybe in the back of your head, you're saying, I need to ride two wheels this summer. I need to be free. I need to see America on my motorcycle. El Cajon Harley will help you out with that, dog. You get yourself a motorcycle. Go to elcajonharley.com or their Instagram or their Facebook. Go see Greg Riley. Say, Del Rey sent me, fool. I need a bike. I need some boots, a helmet, gloves. I need to hit the motor running, dude. I need to ride. El Cajon Harley. All right, yeah, man. Moony day. I can't even tell you. Sometimes my days are just fucking, sometimes just everything comes on one day. And I don't know why the planets align like that, why the spirits book everything like that, or the ghosts, or the vibes, whatever you want to call it. But, yeah, up since 8 a.m. this morning with about 4 hours sleep, coming back from San Jose Improv last night, which, by the way, if you were at that show last night, thank you so much. A small but mighty crowd, an amazing crowd, actually. It was one of the first times where I think all of the audience was podcast fans, and that is just fucking cool. You know, you cannot ask for anything better than that. People listen to podcasts that come out on a Wednesday night. I know they got to work in the morning. Maybe they don't have a lot of money. Maybe they're all caught up in the NHL or the NHL Sharks were, in the playoffs. They didn't play last night, thank God. But San Jose came out, represented. I ran an hour and 10 minutes, felt good, getting ready to record this record next week at the Denver Comedy Works for Bong Load Records. So I'm buckling down. I'm weeding out stuff. I'm muscling up I'm keeping the material lean. I'm just shooting the shit right now like David Lee Roth. You know what I mean when you just sitting around. Look at all the people here tonight. Yeah, I got to work on Diamond Dave. That's a horrible Diamond Dave. But if I listen to it a little bit, I'll get it back going. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, drive back last night. I turn around. It's, go to San Jose, 5 hours, do an hour and 10 minutes of comedy, get back in the car, and come back 5 hours. That's called fucking grind, but had to get back. Had a bunch of interviews today to do for the podcast. I interviewed Mastodon just a little while ago, which will be out Monday. And then I had today's guest was scheduled for noon, so I had to be home. My guest today, and if you listened a few episodes back when Michael Devin and I went down the rabbit hole of Mr. Matt Dillon and got all up into The Outsiders and the 50-year anniversary of The Outsiders, you'll know that we love The Outsiders. We love, Fast Times. We love, what else we're talking about? Over the Edge during that, Drugstore Cowboy, all these Matt Dillon films. But not Fast Times, of course, but, The Love of Fast Times, same kind of era. And as we were talking about that, boom, I read, like I said, that my guest today, who is, I might as well tell you, Danny Boy from House of Pain. Jump around. House of Pain. You can't fuck with House of Pain. Dropping that record in 92, completely taking over the airwaves, coming with the fucking high potency hip hop. That was the shit, man. I saw them at the Fillmore. They played Lollapalooza. Them in Cypress Hill. There was that whole thing going on, man. Ice Cube, Cypress Hill. What else was going on then? Of course, House of Pain, Public Enemy, all that stuff. Late 80s, early 90s hip hop. Of course, NWA, But my man right here, I actually met him 100 years ago at the Fillmore. But he bought the house that The Outsiders was filmed in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Building a museum in it right now. Talk about passion for pop art. This guy, he has everything. He's over here showing me set shots from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It was blowing my mind. He's running off some video that he shot with a drone of the Fast Times at Ridgemont High swimming pool where the famous Rub One Out scene went down. And just a great fucking guy, man. He bought the house that The Outsiders was filmed in. He's redoing the whole thing and opening a museum. And there's nothing cooler than that. That's like something to me, it's like, oh yeah, I've got to see that. I've got to have him on and we got to talk about that. And it was just amazing to talk all kinds of stuff that we loved. We're just like brothers from another mother, man. Cut from the same cloth. People say that. But it's true, man. If you grew up in the late 70s, early 80s, you love BMX, you love Saturday Night Fever, you love Jaws, you love Fast Times, you love The Outsiders, you love Over the Edge. This shit, the Bad News Bears. This stuff sticks in my heart and my brain and it's been inspiration for me in so many ways. All those films I named, they are the high watermark of fantastic art. And it was great to talk to Danny Boy about all this stuff. And I know you're going to enjoy this episode. So I'm going to get right into it here. And before I do, I just want to give you guys a heads up. I will be recording that live record next week. Denver Comedy Works, April 26th through the 30th, downtown. Be part of that. Coming out on Bong Load on vinyl. What else I got coming up here? Going to be at the Minnesota House of Comedy, June 14th through the 18th. Also going to be in Grand Rapids with Bill Burr, July 14th and 15th. Those are some upcoming shows. I can't thank you guys enough for all your support recently and all your positive emails and tweets. That is so kick-ass. Follow me on Instagram, Dean Del Rey, if you don't already. I got all kinds of fun photos going up nonstop. And I guess that's about it. Let's keep the candles lit. Here he is, Danny Boy. All right, here we are, another episode of Let There Be Talk. Today is Thursday. What is the date today? It is the 420.
Wow,
420.
I know I don't partake, but I shout out to all those cats that do Puff Puff Give, the Blaze one for the nation, but it's not my thing. Yeah, although we came up, House of Pain, Cypress Hill, everybody, I might have been the only dude who didn't. I just love getting drunk and after that, I love getting zooted in a different manner, but I do, if you smoke, it's your thing. God bless.
I mean, that was the whole scene back there. First of all, introduce yourself. Great guest today.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how to introduce myself. Danny Boy, House of Pain, La Coca Nostra. But what I do now, which is my passion project, is I've bought the house from the movie The Outsiders, if you're familiar with that, and we're restoring it into a museum for fans of the movie, the book, etc. And we'll get into that. But,
yeah, we're going to get into that.
That's where my heart is now. I mean, I still do. On Saturday, we're doing something at the Queen Mary House of Pain is, and
Everlasting, everybody in there.
Yeah, he's still in there.
Wow,
yeah, still in there. You know, we it's the 25th anniversary. Wow, check it out. It even doesn't sound real to me. So 25 years ago, Jump Around came out. We're doing a 25th anniversary tour, so we've already kind of done our St. Patty's run last March, which is last month, and we're doing a bunch of European shows for the next 2 months coming up. So, yeah, man, I'm still here, still doing it, and you know, like I said, I try to diverse from just doing that. You know, that's such an old thing in my life. You know, although I still love hip hop or what was once hip hop, and we still perform. My heart is in different places, and so for me now, you know, when I came into your spot and I took a look around, we're definitely related as far as it comes to pop culture stuff, because I'm a big fan of it. As I look around the room, I see, you know, vintage vinyl and old BMXs and, you know, wood grain Advanced speakers. Although I like corner horns clips for me, and you know, I like the one, the Martinez, what is it? How do you pronounce it? I'm always
the Marantz.
Marantz, yeah. It's waiting for the coffee to kick in. The Marantz one with the oscilloscope is the one I'm looking to get. But,
hell yeah, I can get you that.
I'm saying, hey, with cheddar, you can get just about anything, right? But you know what I mean. We just called my man Tommy Gelinas, who owns the Valley Relics Museum out here in San Fernando Valley, which is, if you're not familiar, you should go check that out or Google it. But wait to see the Marantz setup he's got going. He's got all the BMX bikes down there. He's got everything that we love tenfold. So
it's crazy because when I a couple of weeks ago, it was, you know, the 50-year anniversary of The Outsiders.
Yep.
So me and my buddy Michael Devin decide to do a full episode really on Matt Dillon, because I think he's one of the greatest actors of our time and nobody talks about it.
Right.
And then we get way deep into The Outsiders. I'm reading the story in maybe the New York Times or something, and it says that you bought the house, and immediately I was like, oh my God, this is an amazing fucking thing. And then I go out with Bob Romanis, you know, Damone.
Yeah.
And he I said, hey man, what do you got doing? What are you up to? And he goes, oh, I'm going out to do this public appearance at the Outsiders house.
Fair enough.
And I was like, fuck, man, I got to have Danny on. So here it is. In a matter of 1 month, it's like full circle, which is really wild, man.
Yeah, I mean, so all of those things that you touched on, those are some of my favorite things. So when I was waiting for you over here at the Starbucks, like, that was my old stomping grounds with the guy Tommy that I just mentioned. And the Sherman Oaks Galleria, I don't know, you said you've been here for,
Fast Times.
And Valley Girl, and Chopping Mall.
Yeah.
And that Schwarzenegger movie, Commando, was it?
Yeah,
or something like that. But for me, nothing trumps Fast Times at Ridgemount High. Fast Time comes out in 82. The Outsiders comes out at 83. But those two, for me, are the gold standard, because I was right at the right age at 13 years old, coming from New York, telling my cousins when I'd go back every summer, yo, we live near the mall where the Fast Times is filmed, Valley Girls filmed. Everybody talks like, you know, I was probably talking like a Val going back, you know, east. They were like, what is he talking about? You know, like, oh my God, and Totally and all that shit, wearing OP and Vans, when everybody was like, where did you get those? In New York, you couldn't get Vans. They were Van Dorens, and they were strictly Southern California.
They had to go to the Van store, which was
were independently tinted.
Really
they looked like a tent. Yeah, Van Doren, you know, flagship stores. There were two of them on Topanga Canyon. So there was one at the top of Topanga and one over there in Chatsworth. And that's also where the BMX industry was. Veriflex Skates was out there.
Same with Marantz. That's where that shit was made.
I know the building. And there's all that stuff. There's also JBL out there and a few others. A lot of stuff was made. A lot of cool stuff was made in the Valley, man. And although it seems like an episode of The Twilight Zone when I come back, because I have so many memories, good and bad here.
Yeah.
it's like, it's a trip because there's no place like home. And although I don't live here anymore in the Valley, I will always have a soft spot for the Valley. And Robert Romanus is one of those guys that, like, I feel like I was so fortunate to meet him because I was doing a podcast and I invited him on. Yeah. And at the time he was doing his coffee shop. And it was really tough to get him. He kept saying, like, geez, Danny, I'm really kind of busy. And I was like, bro, you're killing me right now. You know what I mean? And I was like, come on. I'd have to keep prodding him. And he finally was like, all right, I can do it on a Monday. But at the time, man, he was, up
7 days a week.
Yeah, he was up to his head, his neck and, trying to get that thing to pop. And I know, I felt his frustration and his pain that, I want to do other things, but I'm busy here. So he finally made time for us, man. And it's been a great friendship ever since. And it's one of those things that I hold sacred, man. I mean, I'm a fan of the movie Fast Times.
Me too, man. Isn't it crazy when you first start talking to him? Like when I first met him, what happened was I do stand-up comedy.
Okay.
So my buddy is in the coffee shop, and he says, he goes, hey, man, I did some comedy over at this coffee shop in the Valley. One of the guys from Fast Times at Ridgemont High owns it. He was there. I'm like, no, which guy? And he goes, I don't know. It's your movie, because he's way younger.
Yeah, of course.
He goes, one of those dudes. So I go, this is insane. Where's it at? He tells me where it's at. I go there. I walk in, and there he is. And I got goosebumps. Nobody really hit me as hard as that guy back in high school as far as, like, the fucking character was me, man. Like, I felt like I was a Spicoli meets Damone.
Of course.
I was the, like, on, dude, but I also was the, what about the tunes,
the music thing. Yeah, so, I have the same thing. So I'm a transplant from New York at an early age. I came out here at age 6. My mother sends me every summer back to New York and then New Jersey.
Yeah.
Because, she's working full time, single parent, 2 kids. And I'm like, let me go back to New York. I'm good with that. So I would go back and forth. So I'm bringing like skate and surfboard Valley culture back to the East Coast. And then I'm coming home after summer with like hip hop stuff and all kinds of like city stuff, graffiti and whatnot. But for me, when I seen that movie, Damone's character, he's an East Coast guy. He talks like an East Coast guy.
Totally.
He's got that whole like, he's out of place in the movie, but he doesn't let that stop him.
Yeah.
And he's telling everybody else like what time it is. And so for me, I identified more with him, although everybody knew one Spicoli dude. And after that movie, everybody emulated, Sean Penn's character. For me, it was always like, what about the tunes? Like, how can you forget the magnetism? And so I'm a huge fan.
Me too. I know everything about it. Like,
I know every line.
He's watching that Leave It to Beaver episode where he's stuck in the coffee cup. Yeah,
I've searched that out.
Me too, man.
I had my pizza party for my 45th birthday where they did the scene. You lost your wallet, want it back, and we did it with. He came out, and I bring out all my friends from those movies. So it's like a hodgepodge of like people who all love the same stuff, but from all different like disciplines, if you will. So like Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols, Mike Damone from from Fast Times, Deborah Foreman from Valley Girls, Slim Jim, Phantom from Stray Cats, and he's a huge fan. Every time Fast Times comes on TV or The Outsiders comes on, he's like, dude, turn on Me TV. They're rerunning this or whatever. So all of us share that common thing. We might be in other bands and all different levels of success, but at the core, we're all fans of, let's say, pop culture.
Yeah.
Whether it's, greaser culture or rock and roll original like Eddie Cochran type. That's, Jonesy's type of stuff. It was like American rhythm and blues and rock, early rock stuff. Or Slim Jim is, we also sports in common as well. There's a little, so it's the thread that kind of holds us all together. But the common one is those movies from the 80s, man.
Yeah.
And so.
What about Jaws? Did that fucking hit you?
Yeah, I wouldn't even put my toe in the pool off the raft after that movie came out, man. I saw that right at the top of Topanga. I know you're not a Valley guy, but there used to be a theater up there that was like a cheaper theater, and it was right next to a magic shop. And that movie was so popular that there was like people were selling actual jaws and shark teeth that you could, were like necklaces and earrings.
Yep.
And then the actual physical real jaws like that have been, they used to sell them at the beach.
I used to see that shit. Yeah.
But they used to sell them, and that's how like big of a phenomenon. But dude, and like that shit. Every time I'd get near a pool, I would think of it because I was only like 6 or 7 when that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I was thinking about it a couple of days ago. There's films that really sit in me so hardcore. One of the biggest ones being Saturday Night Fever. I mean, I wanted to move to Brooklyn. I wanted to be disco.
I'm from Brooklyn, and my mother took me to see that movie. And at the time, people were like, "How dare your mother take you? You're too young,"
Yeah.
Because we had just moved to California, and she was reminiscing because she grew up dancing in that era.
Yeah.
There's not a lot I can't tell you about that movie as well. A lot of people don't know. That movie starts out as an article, I think, in the Village Voice.
Unbelievable. The guy just writes a thing about the disco scene.
Who buys it though?
And then who does buy that?
Who buys it? Robert Stigwood.
Oh, there
Who's
you go.
Robert Stigwood?
Robert Stigwood. That's fucking.
Yeah, I'm stumping the wizard on your own show. Shame on you.
No.
Robert Stigwood is the guy who manages the Brothers Gibb.
Oh, there you go.
They're a child act in Australia.
Yeah.
Later known as
the Bee Gees.
Right. And he's like, I need to get them from being this little child act into like a mainstream thing. So he buys the rights to that movie so he could sell records.
Wow.
And that's why he develops that movie.
Wow.
And then I think, if I'm not wrong, I know I'm right, but I don't it's been a minute, but I think John Travolta was such the like up and coming dude and on
from Sweat Hogs,
Welcome Back Kotter, that in order to do that movie, they enticed him by giving him half the soundtrack.
Wow.
And so I know that even when he was dead and buried prior to Pulp Fiction, he still had like a 747 jumbo jet in the backyard. He had his pilot's license. He had a runway off of his beach house in Miami, old Florida that went off into so he was still making oodles and oodles because that record sold like, I don't know, 100 million copies.
Unbelievable.
But I do. So when in 2009, I end up in Tulsa, we're playing Kane's Ballroom. I'm 5 years sober, got a new camera, and I'm highly caffeinated. And I'm like, what am I going to do in Tulsa? Yeah. And it occurs to me that one of my favorite movies, The Outsiders, was filmed there. And I go looking for locations, and that's when I find the drive-in from the movie. If you know the movie, that's where they snuck in. And a lot, the trouble starts with the socials.
Cherry.
I find the park, which is anatomically correct as it would be in the movie. So across the street from the park and 1 block over is the outsider's house the Curtis brothers lived in. And I find it to be just like it looked in the movies, which is like
it was the same?
mind-bending, but also, in need of a lot of repair. And so from 2009 until last year, 2016, every time I go across the U.S., which is a couple times a year, I start looking I beeline for that, and I'm either telling somebody about it to show them, or I'm just going to go visit it while I'm crossing the U.S. And every year I go back, it's worse and worse, and it's looking like it's not going to make it. And I keep thinking, why doesn't somebody save this? Why doesn't somebody save this? And finally, it occurred to me I should. Sorry, I got a new phone, and I just turned the ringer off, and it didn't go off, and I'm trying to run the hotspot, and it won't run the hotspot. So it's been one of those weeks. So I end up getting the house.
How do you get the house? Is somebody living in it at the time?
Somebody's living in it at the time.
Are they just renting or something?
They're renting, and I ended up meeting.
What was the rent there? You think like $300?
It was $500.
$500.
And it originally was $800, and they weren't paying it. And then I finally was able to have a guy I had met in Tulsa who was on board with my crazy idea of getting the outsider's house. Although it wasn't for sale, when I started inquiring about it, I leaned upon him to go get the physical phone number from the tenants, and finally he did. And then I had another friend make the call on my behalf, and I said, with instructions to him, this guy is really good at wheeling and dealing, and I am not. So I said, listen, this is very important to me. He didn't know the movie and could care less, so it was kind of scary, but he's really good at like making deals. And I said, Don, you got to call this lady for me. I'm interested in this house. He's like, house? Where's the house? I said, in Tulsa. He goes, are you nuts? I go, it's from a movie. Don't tell her we know it's from the movie. Find out what she's asking, and just tell her, listen, even if it's not for sale, we just want to have we want you to know that we would maybe be interested if you ever did think of selling, and to hold our contact and get a hold of us if that ever came up. And so he called me back, and he says, I'm waiting for her to call back. I left a message. I was like, all right. And I didn't think much about it. And then an hour later, he called back, and he goes, you own the house. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, she wanted 20 grand for it. I offered her 15. She took it.
Whoa.
Send me the 15.
Wow.
I'm like, fuck out of here, dude. He's like, yo, just what are you talking about? I said, I didn't say buy the house.
Yeah.
I said, just see if she was selling the house. He's like, it's too late now, dude. I just bought the house for you. I've already wired her the money. And
wow.
Then he's like, you got to, she wants to wait a month, but it's a done deal. Like, what do you mean she wants to wait a month? Now I'm like, my heart starts to stop though. Wait, so you bought it, but we have to wait. What? That's weird. Like now I'm stressing out. But she's like, yeah, the tenants who were there were 8 months behind in their rent, and she was owed $4,000, and if she sold at that moment, then I would get the $4,000. So it was $4,000 even less than she wanted from her original 20.
Right.
Now I know after talking to a few people who have stopped by, other people have tried to do exactly what I said I did, and failed.
Wow.
Because somebody else offered her 50 grand at one point, and she didn't take it. And they came by and told us, hey, we tried to do this last year. We offered her 50. She wanted 60, and we just couldn't come with the 60. So why she decided to take 15 grand that day is, I'm hoping, because, the universe or my higher power has a weird sense of, putting me in the right place at the right time. But I'm glad that happened. And, I've been fortunate to meet a really cool bunch of Tulsans that have just rallied around what we were doing and have lent their support not only in dollars but in skills and craftsmanship and time. And although the house, we were hoping to have it open by this month's end, which would coincide with the 50th anniversary of the book, it will be a few more months after that, but it'll be that much better because, I'm on everybody else's time. People who are helping me do this run 2 businesses, have 2 kids.
Yeah.
Are doing it like a couple hours a day as opposed to having a crew in there 8 hours,
Of course.
So, but it's saved me a fortune. And also a lot of people have been able to put their pride and their mark, their DNA, if you will, in that, the soul of that house. So it's been incredible. And
now, once you get it, though, once you got it, did you have the plan to make a museum, or are you just getting it to get it?
The plan to make a museum? That's a great question. Fuck no. My plan was to move in that piece and pretend I was, Matt Dillon myself.
You were just going to move out of here, huh?
Oh, listen, anytime someone can sell you a house that's got that kind of like, what do you call it? Like, I don't even know. Like for 15 grand, you buy it. Like, you know what I mean? Prior to that, I was looking at moving into a van. Not that I'm broke, but I ain't rich neither. But I love that whole van life thing that people got going on. Unfortunately, I'm 6'6", and it's got to be an extended van.
Yeah,
I'm looking at sportsmobiles, and those run like north of $150,000 with all the stuff. So I was like, I don't got that kind of bread to be throwing around, especially to live the van life on Instagram. And I thought, this is a once in a lifetime deal, and who knows the outsiders better than me?
Right.
And, dude, like I said, my hand was kind of forced.
So you going to move there?
Yes. I'm not going to live in the house, though.
Oh.
So my original plan was that. The plan has changed significantly since acquiring the house and once I realized what was going on. So in a nutshell, I would never get any peace in that house. There's guests round the clock. Come to that house.
Yeah. Kind of like the Mork and Mindy house, man, in fucking Boulder. People are there like every day, 5 minutes.
Yeah, so that's kind of, I want to tell you a few things, and I'm sorry, got a million things I want to show you. I'm looking through my phone to find them. Okay, so the house I originally wanted to live in, that's changed. There's no way to live in that house because it's just it's a never-ending, revolving door of people. So now you're looking at it real time on my phone. Somebody's there. I don't know who.
Oh wow, you got cameras on it, huh?
Yeah, we got a camera. This is all donated actually from the alarm company in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
That's
got
sick.
8 cameras all over. Now you're looking at the yard.
Wow.
From the outsider's house. But usually if I show you this camera, there's a dog there that lives across the street that's on my thing. So somebody's there doing work. I don't know if they're doing what they're doing today. There's always somebody there. You would never get a night's sleep because people are always passing through, and there's the inside of the house. Watch when it comes up.
This is crazy, man. I love how look at that.
So we've redone it.
Wow.
It still needs paint and all that, but we refinished the floors.
Holy
we refinished the windows.
smokes.
Put lights. It's a museum.
Yeah.
So
it's a museum now.
my plan is to live in Oklahoma and Tulsa, but not at the house.
Right.
And to turn this into a really cool museum. I just went to the Christmas Story Museum. A lot of people, I don't know if they know or not, but it's the only one that I know that was from a movie that, like you said, Mork and Mindy house.
Yep.
I've never been. Once I found this house, the Outsider's house, I posted that, and we played Kane's Ballroom, and the owner says, hey, they tell me you're friends with Steve Jones. Come in my office, I want to show you something. He shows me a hole in the wall. I go, what's that? He goes, Sid Vicious punched that in the wall when they played here in 78, and we framed it and we cut it out of the dressing rooms and put it in here.
Wow.
So I sent Jonesy a picture and I posted it to Facebook. And now at that time, it was 2009. The BlackBerry just had an ample, camera that, it had a nice enough camera that you could post stuff to Facebook, and people were going bonk show. They were like, dude, what the fuck? Where are you? Is the house real? Where on the Warner Brothers lot is that house?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, where is the Sex Pistols? I'm like, I'm in Tulsa. They're like, what's a Tulsa? I'm like, Oklahoma, bro. It's fucking crazy. And so I started to think, I was on tour at that time. I'm like, you know what? This is great. And I love a pat on the back like anybody else. And I love pop culture. And I thought, well, every town I get to, I'm going to look for shit like that. So the next stop, it was like, we ended up a couple stops later in Minneapolis, and I went to Mary Tyler Moore's home, and then I went to where she threw her hat up. I grew up on that shit, you know?
Yeah, me too.
People were like, that's fantastic. I love it. And so, like any old school tweaker, I find a doorknob and I build a home around it. Well, I started calling it the Delta Bravo Urban Exploration Team, which is Danny Boy in military, Delta Bravo. And I started logoing it up every time I would hit a location, and I would give up the addresses and encourage people to visit. And so I picked up a bunch of other people that were interested, like-minded, and we started a Facebook page. And, a million posts later and, let's say 75 members all over the world that do it on the regular.
Wow.
We've created this whole little, our version of urban exploring, which is usually like old factories and tunnels and abandoned buildings, and we do it with more like pop culture locations.
Right.
So I've dissected every Fast Times, the Bad News Bears, Valley Girls, all of it, and I've got a great
Kelly
collection
Leak.
of all that stuff. Exactly. Well, I'm friends with Aaron Blunt, and David S. His name always escapes me, and he knows it, and I feel terrible about it. Half my brain is connected to my MacBook, so I use it as a resource tool.
Totally,
David Steinbaugh, but it takes a second. The clock in my head is very
mine too,
slow.
man. I'll know shit.
I got so much going on. You're telling me all my favorite things, and my head is flooded with information bits. So David Steinbaugh and all those dudes are great dudes, and Brett Marks is another dude from the Bad News Bears.
Bad News Bears, dude.
It's filmed here too. It's all filmed up on the Ventura Boulevard and at Mason Park. I went back to the park. We've redone it. I've interviewed them all. We've all.
It's crazy to think how great that film is.
It could never be made like that again. So.
Who doesn't want to be Kelly Leak? And when you get into
my cousin was Kelly Leak, except for he's not Kelly Leak, but he was a dead ringer for him. And so here's another story, and this is why I love. So there's a common thread through all of these stories, and it's. So you look at The Outsiders, right?
Yep.
It's written by a girl in 11th grade who flunks out of her creative writing class that year, gets a D+ in English, writes a story about, let's say, gang life in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with the haves and the have-nots. The next year it gets published, and the publishing company says, nobody will buy this book written by a woman, so we're going to call you S.E. Hinton instead of Susan Eloise.
Yeah.
It now is 50 years old. It's never been out of print. It sold millions of copies. It gets discovered in the 70s by a librarian from Sacramento all of her students are relating so much to this that she gets them all to write a letter, and she sends it to, of all people, Francis Ford Coppola, the director of Apocalypse Now and the Godfathers. Series, 1, 2, and 3.
Greatest films ever.
Right, but why would you send a child's book to, you know what I mean? But she had it right. Yeah. And he says, let me look into these. And he says, I'm not only love it, I'm going to buy Rumblefish too, which was also S.E. Hinton's book. And he has the forethought to go, let's go on location instead of taking this into Hollywood. They cast those actors, and those actors launch, you know what I mean?
Monster Chris.
Shit. Yeah, it's all those dudes out of there become the Brat Pack. But it's all tied to a central story. Over the Edge.
Over the Edge.
It's a classic.
Absolutely.
The Over the Edge guy, he adapts that story from a story that was up in the Bay Area.
Yep.
About a little city that they built on an old dump that was on the water. And they made it this crime-free city. Come move you to the future city, and blah, blah, blah. And those kids went crazy and, robbed and stole and the whole thing, which becomes the impetus to Over the Edge, originally titled Mouse Packs. I have the original script.
Wow.
That thing gets cast, and it's Matt Dillon's first movie, okay? And one of the guys on there ends up working on Tex, which is another S.E. Hinton book. And he says, you got to see this actor we just had on Over the Edge. And then the introduction is made. Now, if this story has a little bit of, if my facts are a little bit off, excuse me, I'm just going from memory. There might be a little, but for the most part, this is the story. S.E. Hinton meets Matt Dillon, and then he ends up in The Outsiders and Rumblefish and, et cetera, et cetera. So there's these weird, and I love both of those. I went up to the school where I told you that it was filmed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they just tore it down this year. As I get up there, a newspaper reporter comes out for this crazy kid from California that drives up to see a school on the weekend that they're about to tear down and has no idea that a movie was filmed there, much less Over the Edge. So he just comes out to put me in the Greenlee Tribune because someone else at the paper said, I was supposed to go talk to this guy, but I'm busy with softball. Will you go cover it for me?
Yeah.
We hit it off. I introduce him to the movie, which blows his mind. And so when they tear it down months later, he sends me a brick from the movie because I do collect bricks from certain, historic locations. And it just becomes, I'm fascinated with these 80s movies, but I also love the fact that they have another deeper backstory. Yeah. And so Fast Times shares it as well. Cameron Crowe. He's 20-something years old.
Sneaks into the high school.
He goes back. He asked the principal, and the principal really said, no, wait a minute. You write for Rolling Stone, and I forget who was Bob Seger or somebody that he wrote about that the guy was a fan of. Yeah. And signs off on the thing and then forgets.
Totally illegal.
Yeah. Well, back then, we lived in a different world, hence Bad News Bears.
Yep.
But nowadays, you'd probably be facing like all kinds of they'd string you out for that
Principal
shit.
would be in jail.
Oh, in jail. Yeah. So they let him go to school for a year, which he writes Fast Times at Ridgemount High. I have the yearbook from 1979, Claremont High School, which is in San Diego. It is the yearbook with a lot of the characters or composites of the characters. Mr. Hand's in there. Yeah. The two guys that make Spicoli's there. They're all in there. Okay. Ratner's in there. They're all in there. And then that becomes a book, and then the book becomes a movie. Bad News Bears, a lot of people don't know. That's a book written by Burt Lancaster's son, the actor. He's the kid that his dad is the guy who pays the coach to get his team popping. Yeah. There's a field here called Bad News Bears Field over by Fox Studios on Sepulveda. By the Federal Building in Westwood. Yeah. But that's not where the movie was filmed. That's the part where Burt Lancaster's son is forced to play baseball, and his team is the real Bad News Bears. Yeah. And then he goes on to write that story about his life, which turns into the movie The Bad News Bears.
Insane.
I told you I went recently to the Christmas Story house. Yeah. Just to see, because it's the only known that I know of house that was like in a pop culture movie from the 80s that now serves as a museum. Right. He said when he bought it, he cried twice. He said, there's a backstory here as well. So the guy grows up in San Diego. Dad's a fighter pilot. He wants to be a fighter pilot. Gets to Fighter Pilot Academy, and they call him in the office and say, unfortunately, you're colorblind and you won't be able to be a pilot. He's like, what? Wow. Shocked, dismayed, goes home. His father knows he's a big fan of The Christmas Story. If you know The Christmas Story, you know there's a leg lamp in the window. His father goes and custom makes him a leg lamp, puts it in the Fragile box, and sends it to him as a, consolation, cheer up kid. These things happen. He's overcome by what a great, gift that was from his father. All his friends are like, that's bitchin', man. Can we make more? Will you make me one? So he starts leglamp.com. Yeah. He, for a year or two, makes leg lamps. I think for a year, the first year he made over $100,000 in leg lamps. Wow. And somewhere along the line, he realizes that the house that the movie was filmed at is for sale. He contacts the owner, says, I'll buy it sight unseen for $150,000. I'm told he cried twice that day. The day that he was standing outside and realized he was the owner of the house, and the second later when he opened the door and realized what a shithole it was. That's kind of my experience, except for I didn't buy the house on eBay, but I cried internally twice that day.
Yeah.
One of like, oh my God, I'm on the outside of his house. And the second was like, oh my God, what a shithole. And all this house needs is a whole new house.
Wow.
So
yeah.
we've been working hard on that. That being said, again, there's 5 or 6 of these like movies / backstory / like, and they all kind of intersect. You know what I mean? There's like 6 degrees of fucking
Absolutely.
something strung through all these, and
but they bring all of us together too, which is insane because
a certain age group, and like you said it before, you're like, one of the guys from, I get it, people that are 5 years younger than me. I'm 48. They might go, Clueless was their movie.
Yeah, I'm 51. Yeah,
right, made by the same person that made Fast Times, made Clueless.
Right.
That was her daughter's generation, and they were mall,
Yeah, exactly.
whatever. But if you grew up in my generation and our generation, then these things are very important to you. And it's kind of like,
even like Breakfast Club.
Oh, love it. I went to the 30th anniversary of it at Tarantino's theater to see the 35 millimeter copy. Which
Unbelievable.
Was like,
also, Urban Cowboy.
That I love, but not at the level of. But it was a classic at the time. Of course,
I love
Pasadena, Texas. You get the Gillies hat, you still get bonus points.
But I mean, the thing about it is, you got to think about the phenomenon.
Oh, it's changed the world. No, I know. It became Cowboy Chic became the thing after
all
it.
Of a sudden,
anything John Travolta touched back then became the next craze.
Yeah.
We lived in that world.
Grease,
it was a fantastic movie, and I've done all these locations, so I could show you. When we have some time to sit down, or you can look on Facebook on Delta Bravo Urban Exploration Team. I always call it Exploration when I'm saying it fast, but yeah, you'll bug out on all the locations. We take famous photos, whether it be true crime, press shots from LL's first record or LL's first record itself, and go to Queens where he went to school and that's where he shot it, and find the photographer Glenn E. Friedman and say, Glenn, tell us some backstory, and then we put this whole little dossier together, or pictures and the address, and we give it up. So yeah, I mean, dude, I'm looking around your place right now. I mean, there's nothing in here that I don't love. Like, it's like all the same kind of stuff. When I was a kid, man, old dudes had like, wingtips and pencil pocket protectors and Malcolm X type glasses on, and everything was bland. I mean, our generation kind of grew up and then like looked back because we weren't in love with the future stuff that was popping. And, it was like reminiscing on all the stuff we used to. I mean, I'm looking at nunchucks hanging off your staircase right now. Like, I'm about to fuck shit up myself. I'm looking for the staff or the size or whatever, let's get those Jean Repads and start kicking each other's ass right now.
It really is.
I grew up like that. On Sunday, I'm watching the roller derby, kung fu flicks. You know what I mean? The wrestling, the lucha libre type stuff that they used to have on KTTV.
Also,
Pippi
Soul Train, get my moves together.
All of it. So
all that.
Again, I'm not trying to shit on the new generation of stuff. I'm sure it's just as relevant and cool to them, but. Again, man, my heart is with the stuff that we grew up on, and now I have a little disposable income, and I'm able to we have the technology working for us and also against us,
Where do you get your income these days? From touring?
Yeah, we still do all right. We ride the gravy train. We're still one of the, it's come full circle now. There were years where I went out without, what I mean? And I started doing drugs because I threw myself like a decade, actually, long pity party after House of Pain had ended. Yeah. And, Everlast went on to get Grammys for his solo stuff, and our DJ went to Limp Bizkit and made more money than God. Yep. And I didn't know what to do with myself. And so I started,
What were you getting into? Coke?
No, meth.
Meth?
I started with Coke, but it was too much of a roller coaster for me, the emotional wise. Yeah. And being 6'6" alpha male, I just couldn't be crying at the party for no apparent reason because, that's what it do to me. And someone introduced me to meth. And unfortunately, I loved it. And first it was fun, then it was fun with problems, then it was just problems. And
was it after House of Pain that you got into meth?
It was after it. It was right at the last couple of days of House of Pain. The writing was on the wall. I knew this dude was pulling the plug and he was going to go on solo. And I didn't. People for years. While I was sitting waiting for you at the Starbucks, I got a text from somebody. Hey man, my artist is an up and coming dude. He wants to get a feature from you. Which, if you're not in hip hop world, a feature is where a newer act will offer you some money to spit 16 bars of whatever you spit on his new stuff. And I wish I could, but I don't. And my I don't want to say it was like my guilty secret or whatever, but it's like I'm an ideas man. I'm a creative guy. I started House of Pain with an idea. I could rap at a time when nobody could rap that was white, moderately okay.
Yeah.
Everlast was great.
Right.
But Everlast, when I met him, the direction he was going and the direction I was going were completely different. And I saw something. I figured if we could put our two yin yangs together, this would be really cool. And then in a nutshell, that's kind of how it happened. But I'm the idea behind the logo and the name and the concept, you know, like
the branding.
The branding is what I am. So I'm a branding guy. So if you want me to rap on your thing, I'll refer you to my man Slane. But I don't do that. And in the 90s, when our thing fell apart, I was expected to go off and make solo records, and I was like, I don't know how.
Well, now, why is that? So when you're starting out, you are a rapper,
yeah, but I get comfortable with him writing because it's easy for him, and I do all the branding.
Gotcha.
And I do all the merch, and they do. Let's just do it in dollars and cents. The first House of Pain record, we paid $100,000 to do. It cost us $60,000 to make the record.
Yeah, 92.
92,
jump around.
Right. So it cost us $90,000 to make the record. So what's left over? No, it takes us $60,000. So what's left over?
Yeah, 40. Or you got, what did you get? 90, 30.
No, it was so 60-ish, right?
Right.
So let's say there's 40.
Right.
There's 3 guys in the band. There's taxes. There's manager. There's accountant. So what are you left with, right?
0.
A couple months later, our first merchandising deal was $250,000. I owned 60% of it because they were owning publishing and I was owning merch.
Right.
And there's no recoupables because we didn't have to make a record or anything behind it.
Yeah.
So 60% of $250,000 is what?
Yeah.
So if you're at the crossroads where writing raps is writing rhymes is like a struggle to do, or being creative in like doing graphics and t-shirts, and that is like something you could do while chewing gum, riding a bike, and fucking,
Yep.
I'm like, it's a no-brainer. I make twice as much for half the work in my head. I do what I do well. The second record deal, we got $250,000 record deal, and I don't know what it cost to make it, but it was probably around $150,000, which probably left us with $100,000 to split.
Yeah.
The second merch deal, which usually comes a few months after you make the record, was 1.25. So 1,250,000, which they front loaded us $800,000.
Wow.
You don't have to pay any. There's no like recouping that. And the 8 that they front loaded, I got a check for $480,000.
Wow.
For doing logos. So you tell me, would you be pulling your hair out to try to figure out how to rhyme better and better to keep up with these dudes who are now, they're getting, like, Everlast gets better and better and better. I was getting better and better and better at branding.
Right.
So I'm sticking with the branding. But once you brand, and this is, if this interests you whatsoever, all you people out there listening, once you do the branding, anybody can unhitch the cart. So once I get paid once for my job, where Everlast wrote Jump Around, and he gets paid for the rest of his life.
Right.
So on the royalties now, he is long since caught up. But back then, I had a Ferrari and those dudes had Beamers. So
right.
I'm not shitting on nobody.
No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just saying money was a lot more in the merch at that time. Now,
was
unfortunately,
there any,
tension?
Yeah.
Of course. I don't think it was like, at the time it was like palpable or something, but there's always a competitive, like, for me, I felt like, not from my end, but I felt I was getting it from other ends, that it was like, okay, well, fuck it then. That's how we're rolling, like, what else? But again, like, I got, we all got rich off of rhyming and graphics.
Yeah.
So it's like, who should be complaining? None of us.
Right. None.
But if you're interested in long-term shit, I couldn't see 5 days in front of my face back then. It's even hard now. You know, I'm in fear of the future in the sense that I save now a lot more than I used to.
Yeah.
Back in the days, there was no future in the sense that it was only going to get better if there was a future. And so fucking spend it all now.
Yeah.
And you'll get more anyway because you're so cool.
I can relate to that.
Once the tap got turned off, I told you I used to live down the street. That's why I don't live down the street anymore, because I had a big house down the street that ended up getting fucking, taken back, and the Ferrari got repossessed and all that good shit. When you don't pay your bills, they will take their shit back. And,
And that's where
it's
the
a life
drugs
lesson.
kick in?
Yeah, I started feeling bad for myself, and it was drinking wasn't making that pain go away anymore, and the drugs were, and so I got caught up in that cycle. And fortunately, like I said, the 15th of April, which was only a couple days ago, I celebrated 12 years consistent sobriety. I had 3.5 prior to that and relapsed because I thought, drugs was my problem and I could just have a drink. Why can't I have a drink? I've been sober 3 years.
That leads to the powder.
And I went right back to, within 1 week, I was right back to doing methamphetamine. So I know for me now, I'm not willing to throw my life away over a fucking beverage. So,
what kind of tweaking shit were you doing?
Oh, doing it all. Painting and fucking faux finishing and dremeling.
Really?
Good.
Faux finishing?
It all.
Were you working a job?
Fuck no. I don't even know how I would pay bills. It was just, I did a solo record in between all that stuff and got like $500,000 to do it. It was like, I was sober at the time, but then I relapsed again after the record didn't come out. And everything at the time was contingent on like, if I got it, like I wanted to get it, then I'd be a good boy and stay sober. If I didn't, fucking all bets are off. I'm going to do what I want to do. Today, this is how I got 12 years sobriety. I don't drink or use no matter what.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of no matter whats, dude.
Yeah.
Some of the no matter whats are good things that happen.
Yeah.
Fear. Oh my God, I got a museum in Tulsa. I live in Beverly Hills. What the fuck am I going to do? Oh my God, let's just have a drink. It'll all shave the edges off this uncomfortability. That's how quick it can happen. So
absolutely.
I got to stay right sized. So again, I stay in my comfort zone as much as I can as far as like all this pop culture shit. That's why I do it, because it's all fond memories. The love runs deeper than the pain. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And when I think of Fast Times, the love is just like, I love that fucking movie, man. It was filmed in my neighborhood, per se, the Valley. This is our neighborhood, if you will.
Yep.
I know a few of the cast members. I love Cameron Crowe's work. I own the original script. I own the fucking yearbook.
You own the original Fast Time script?
One of them. I'm saying
yeah.
not the.
Right.
Whatever would have been to one of the actors.
Yeah.
I have it. Actually, mine I think came from like the costume dude or the wardrobe or not wardrobe. One from.
Are there any extra scenes in that?
There's all kinds of extra shit.
Well, I was talking to.
I can let you see it. Yeah.
I was talking to Robert, and he told me there was actually a scene where him and Spicoli had a scene together. Yeah.
That used to be online. That was filmed, and that someone had it on YouTube. Sorry, I'm going in my book. Somebody had it on YouTube, and then it got deleted. But there's a scene where he, at this mall right here at the Sherman Oaks Galleria, takes him in a licorice pizza, the same one that they stood in front of it in the 5-point plan, which I have a Deborah Harry cutout. It's not the one from the movie, but it's...
Where do you got all that shit? In your apartment?
Just like your apartment, bro. It looks like a fucking, like the Grinch's sled.
Yeah.
You got shit packed in. There's a scene where he shows him some records and stuff, and somebody had released the footage on YouTube, and at the time I didn't know how to take it and save it to a hard drive or download it, so you just assume it'll always be there, and it wasn't. It's gone now. Wow. So I've been looking for it. Also, another cool thing, which I do have on disc, is the TBS version, the Turner broadcast, and the TV version, where they've added scenes or changed dialogue and done voiceovers.
Like on Scarface when he goes, how'd you get a scar like that? Eating pineapple?
Exactly.
Instead of pussy, pineapple.
Exactly. And I can't remember the Fast Times one off the top, but there are funny ones. I'm sure people listening will know if they know, at least when I repost it, my people who know this shit, they'll chime in on Facebook. But there's scenes just like that, dude. Like where they're like famous, you dick is turned to like you something simple, and you're like, what? But I've even went so far as to have my friend who's a janitor in Boston reach out and call the janitor, and that's how I ended up getting to the school from Over the Edge, from the janitor. Wow. And it's all because of what? The Breakfast Club.
Yes.
He says, I, my friend, am the ears and eyes of this institution. I read your mail. I read you. And John Capellos, we've actually interviewed him. I had him on my podcast.
Wow.
He lives around here somewhere. You probably could reach out to him too. He's a great interview. But I thought of that when I was thinking, how am I going to get into this school? Because one thing that we have a rule for is no pools and no schools. You don't want to be at a pool taking photos. Like I'm at the pool where they shot the Nirvana Nevermind pool, which is at Pasadena at the Olympic swimming pool. Right. I went on a Sunday in winter thinking nobody will be here. I drove 45 minutes in traffic to get there. Thousands of people were there, all swim team and all that. And I'm dressed in black taking photos by the pool.
Oh, no pools at schools. I get it now.
Okay. So I had my man call also to Van Nuys High School, and the guy said, send send him by. So, this is a guy, this is who it is, what he wants to do.
Yep.
He let me in Mr. Hand's class. I reshot all the scenes. He brought me into the thing where Mike Damone and get into that. But then the fight scene in the gym, in the locker room. We shot all that.
Yeah.
And, this is how deep this thing runs. I also flew a drone over the Fast Times at Ridgemont High pool, which I will show you when you post this, wherever you post it. We'll send links to that as well. You'll bug out. So this thing runs deep with me, but it all starts at the Outsider's house. Imagine that.
It's insane,
I post those photos, and then it becomes this. I had already had like a moderate collection of stuff like that. I'd get bored, and I'd be like, I just want that B version of the Outsider's poster, the one that's illustrated by a guy named David Grove, I believe, was the original one, and then they ended up using the photo one instead. I just wanted the classic one, and it's $250, and I'd always save it in my search that someday I'll spend that $250, because right now $250 is a lot, and it is a lot, because I have a ton of $250 posters that I want.
Right.
And now I have most of the collection of Outsider stuff. I have most of the wardrobe.
It's going in all
the director's chair. I have the director's.
It's going into the museum.
Yeah, I met S.C. Hinton gave me Matt Dillon's leather jacket. It's the same one he gives Ponyboy when they go up to Jay Mountain.
Whoa, really?
I've got both Mickey shirts that are on loan for 2 years. I've got the DX shirt and hat that's on loan. I've got the Dally's jacket that he gets shot in at the end coming to us. I got 2 of the black T-shirts from Ralph Macchio's character.
Now, does Coppola know about the museum?
And yes, he does. And matter of fact, my friend Randy Shanofsky, whose name I can still pronounce and remember, is right now meeting with at Zoetrope in San Francisco with the guy who runs their archives. In hopes to get us some more stuff for the museum.
Jeez, man.
So yeah, it's pretty sick. And then I always keep my eyes open for stuff. So I have just about everything you can buy in the open market from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I've seen Spicoli's shoes come up.
Really?
He painted a pair of them and gave them to, was it Don Simpson or one of the guys that was
Don Simpson.
He was on.
You ever read that book, High Concept?
No.
Holy shit! You want to talk drugs?
Don Simpson. That's the other guy. No, there was another guy's name, and I'm fucking it up. But he was one of the early credits that comes on as soon as it says like written by Cameron Crowe or directed by. I think he was the producer. I forget it off the top. But
isn't it crazy how Damone gets the part? Like he's a singing waiter on Ventura here,
At one of those restaurants.
Yeah, singing waiter.
Yeah. He said he went 12 different times for that thing.
I couldn't believe
he's like, if
it.
You don't want it, I don't care. I'm going home. And they gave it to him.
It's like, fuck you.
But, so I always keep my eyes open for everything. Again, like I was saying, there was his shoes, but Sean Penn painted them black in the front and then wrote like Fast Times 82 and signed them to people and shellacked them.
Wow.
And that guy donated it to the church that he was going to, and the church auctioned them off. I think they brought like $2,000. But at one point there was a hoax on the Hemmings guy that do all those classic cars, that they had found the Camaro that was smashed up.
Oh, yeah.
And it was behind a hotel here in Canoga Park, and they were auctioning it, but it became
You can't fix this car, Spicoli.
Right, it became a prank, and I was bummed because I was like, maybe I could buy that car.
Wow, I'll beat up Z28.
I've often looked up 1971 AMC Gremlins. I've even remade the pins. And it says prick on it. I got to get online. My phone ain't doing it right now. I'm going to go over there and crush the guy at the Apple store. He told me a bunch of things today that are not functioning, and I'm very upset. But when I get online, when we're done with this, I'll show you a little bit of some of the stuff. And then here, the only person that I know have seen what I'm about to show you, this is the Holy Grail, and I just acquired it last week.
Yeah.
While I was out of town. I had found somebody's name, and I don't even remember how it happened, which is crazy. It wasn't on eBay. It was somebody told me about I don't know. And then as I was scrolling through mail in my old mail folders, it said Fast Times, and I hit him out of the blue and saying, whatever happened? You said you had some Fast Times things. And then he replied back and said, I have proof photos from the movie, and I want $2 a page, which will be $280, and I can meet you Tuesday. I said, that sounds great. I haven't seen any of what you're talking about, but I'll buy them sight unseen, but will you bring them to my wife's work, and here's where she works, and she'll have cash. And he was like, okay. It was like some 70-something-year-old man.
Wow.
So I don't know where these came from, if they were stolen from the Warner Brothers archive. If they were wherever. You can start looking through them. Be careful because the pages are...
Okay, I'm going to look through them. So basically it's an old school photo album.
Of proof sheets from the movie. So there's a ton of stuff that's never made the movie.
Wow,
background
man. Look at Cameron Crowe.
Yeah.
Holy
And
smokes!
I'll scan some of these, and you can post them if you want.
Please
And then
do.
you can
Look, I got
show
goosebumps.
people.
Weird,
yeah, that's
man.
awesome.
Holy shit! These Damone
Hey, those ain't
photos.
goosebumps, homie. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
The folder's rising.
Whoa.
So yeah, dude, these are.
I can't even believe you got these.
Well, he's never even seen them. So one day I bid on one of these pages.
Yeah.
And it went for $80, and it was Damone and her in the pool.
Yeah.
What's her head?
Yeah. Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Jason Leigh. Oh, you want to hear a tie-in to Bad News Bears and Jennifer Jason Leigh and Mary Tyler Moore?
Absolutely.
So Jennifer Jason Leigh's dad is
Who is her dad?
Vic Damone.
Oh, Vic Damone?
Vic Damone is throw the ball, Joey.
Yeah.
He's the coach of the Yankees. He's also the guy who loses his head in the Twilight Zone movie.
Oh shit.
When the helicopter crashed, that was Vic Damone.
Whoa.
That's Jennifer Jason Leigh's dad.
Wow.
Her stepdad, who's a director himself, is the guy who shot the opening to Mary Tyler Moore.
Wow, no shit.
The throwing of the hat and all that stuff. That's her stepdad.
Dude,
So
these
there's all
photos
this-
are fucking me up. I wish
Nobody's
people
ever
could see
seen. I
these.
know. That's what I'm saying. I'll scan a few. And
Unbelievable.
if you go on Facebook, there's the Mike Damone Appreciation Society. A lot of people don't know about it. It's the page that I run for my fandom of.
I'm going to give you
Damone.
guys just a heads up. There's a shot of Phoebe Cates
Oh, there's many shots of Phoebe.
in the bikini, of
Lots
course.
of them.
All that stuff, man. And then Judge Reinhold in the pirate outfit. All these fucking photos are gold, dude.
Yep.
These are gold. I love this. Hey, is Damone home? Oh, that
Exactly.
phone call. Look at these.
Show him up. He goes, show him how you stand up underwater.
Oh my god. Oh.
How you stand up
Dude,
underwater.
this shit is insane, man. These fucking photos, man. How many are? Look at. I mean, there's like a couple hundred.
Bro, I paid $2 a sheet for them shit, sight unseen, and that's where you kind of like you either.
Oh
you're
my
gonna
god.
lose your shit or you're gonna do well.
Oh.
My wife,
Yeah.
she's one of those that I told you about. That's a couple years younger than she's 5 years younger than me.
Yeah.
And she grew up in 29 Palms, and she doesn't know Fast Times from a hole in the head.
Wow.
She calls Mike Damone her little koala bear. She's like, he's such a little koala bear. I love that guy.
Wow.
Because he's the nicest, sweetest guy on the planet.
Unbelievable.
But she doesn't know the movie like we know the movie.
Right.
So when I said, how do the photos look? She was like, I don't know. There's a lot of them, and they look cool, but she didn't know what,
Yeah, this is fucking insane, dude. To look at this stuff. It's like, I mean, dude, this is a score, man. Like, this is probably the coolest Fast Times thing I've ever
so
seen.
for those
should
of you
put
at
this
home
out as a
listening to
book,
this,
dude.
I don't know the rights to them, and don't say the photographer's name because
I
they're on
won't.
the top. I
I
don't want
saw
someone
it.
else.
Yeah.
I've looked him up before, and anybody can go on, and
right.
find it. But the thing is, what we're looking at is a book the size of a telephone book.
Yeah.
And it is proof sheets. So
Yep.
it must be, I'm going to guess.
Guy was
say
just doing set photos.
Yeah, 50 rolls of film.
Yeah.
He was the original photographer on the movie. So you're seeing everything that you've ever seen in Fast Times and then some, because he's got alternate takes, things that hit the editing room floor, and just photos that you've never seen released. I don't think anybody's ever seen these except for maybe someone at the studios, the actual photographer, and
my
that's
God.
about it. And they must have been on ice for all these years since '82.
I can't even believe that what I'm
I bought them from a weird email that I had that I just stumbled across
Dude,
about a guy
score.
saying that he might have some Fast Time stuff for sale.
Oh my
And
God.
now here I am looking at it.
I think
close
you
to
need
the mall.
You got to donate one page to me. I'll frame it and put it in here, dude.
I'll make a copy for you of any page you want.
there you
How about
go.
that?
Yeah, like
no
a
problem.
scam, dude. This shit is insane, man.
So yeah, better than bringing all the other stuff that I have. You know what else is cool is the yearbook. I break it out once in a while and we look up people, and I always get asked, is Cameron in there? And I don't think he's in there, but again, I have to really go through it again, and it takes a lot of page after page looking.
This is insane. Right? Look, I love this. I got 2 tickets right here. He's selling the kids the tickets at the
so here's
arcade.
another one.
Yeah.
One of these photos I did see before because this kid here, he works at Paramount. Yeah, this was Paramount Film. No, what was this?
Yeah, it's Paramount, right?
No, it was Universal.
Oh, Universal.
He works at Universal, and he has the photo, but he's that kid. So he brought that to an event that we had at Damone's when he had the coffee spot.
Really?
I did a live broadcast out of there.
Yeah.
And he brought me the photo, and then they both signed it up.
Oh, man.
Yeah. This book, I mean, you're only into page 10.
It's
and you've got,
unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable. I'm gonna look at the rest
No
when we're
doubt,
done
no
here,
doubt.
but it's just fucking me up looking at this because it's It's so insane.
Yeah, and if you're a fan, like I know you are, and I'm a
yeah.
fan,
Yeah.
it's overwhelming to see all this stuff.
It really is.
It's like sensory overload.
Like if you had one,
like my wife looks through it, she's like, "Oh, I don't know what." It's like whatever.
Yeah.
It'd be like you look at the movie you know of, but you don't care.
Yeah.
When you care, like we care.
Yeah.
It's, dude, every photo is a morsel of like goodness. You're like, fuck, dude, I can't
Like if you
eat
just
it all.
had one page,
No,
you'd
I
be
know.
like, fuck yeah.
I told you there was one page, and I have a picture of it that was on eBay in a folder somewhere. And it was the pool scene. It was him it was Damone on a raft.
Yeah.
Just outtakes. And I got up to $80 and someone outbid me. And I was like, at the time, maybe it was a couple of years ago, $80 here, $80 there starts to add up.
Yeah, it really does.
I'm known for nickel and diming myself.
Yeah.
I'll spend $1 million on like trinkets and tell myself, well, dude, these tchotchkes were only, $80 a pop.
Yeah.
But it's sneakers, it's hats.
I'm
it's
the same
fucking
way.
Sunglasses, it's jewelry, it's watch, it's whatever.
You a watch guy?
I used to be. That's how I get in these kind of things.
I mean, you got the 50-year
yeah, I got a few
anniversary Rolex.
I listen. I'd love to be the watch guy, but there's nothing worse than flying coach once in a blue moon with Louis Vuitton luggage and fucking Daytonas, and I've been that guy, and fucking. $500 sneakers, and you're sitting like middle seat to New York.
I'd rather sit middle seat and have the stuff.
Fuck no, dude.
I'd rather sit middle seat.
Listen, I used to be that guy.
Yeah.
But bro, when you're, here's the thing. So I've had to reel myself way in, and that's also part of getting right sized and being able to stay.
Yeah.
Getting right sized. Let's just say that, because it's really easy for a guy like myself who has like low self-esteem and egomaniac problems at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like, look at me. What the fuck you looking at, bro? Like,
yeah.
That's how my whole shit is. My inner dialogue.
Yeah.
Everybody look at me. Wait, bro, what the fuck you looking at, man?
Wow.
Like, it's the wrong guy looks or the wrong chick. What are you looking at? Fuck. It's that. It's constant. You're not good enough. You're better than everybody. You're not good enough. You're not good enough. But aren't you better than everybody? I don't know. I thought I was better than any. It's fucking. It just all comes from that, know. And so for me, I'm equal with everybody. I try to treat everybody the same, but I will go out of my way to treat people that work in the service industry and shit like that, because it's something that my ego has probably prevented me from ever doing any of that kind of humble fucking shit. When I see someone, I'll be on tour looking out the window at 6 a.m. because I'm jet lagged and see dudes working the trash route and go, man, my hat's off to dudes like that, because fuck, when I put my head in the fucking sand when push come to shove, when the music was done and I needed to find a real job, and I could have just been humble and said, fuck it, dude, I need to do what I need to do to fucking, stay afloat. But my fucking pride and my ego got the best of me. And so instead I become a fucking meth head.
Wow.
So looking back, that's some coward shit. So I try to correct that by, being right sized. So I love, like, we all love shiny shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Most people love shiny shit.
Yeah.
I just now have to be very careful. And what I've been able to do is find stuff that's bigger than me. So the Outsider's house is bigger than me.
Yeah.
And all the stuff I collect is not for me anymore, it's for us. And that house is a nonprofit. It's gonna be profitable, very profitable. But the profit is gonna go to build up that and to spread the legacy of S.C. Hinton.
Right.
And hopefully bring something to the city that's very, like, wow, it's about time that we got something really cool. Not that Tulsa doesn't have any stuff that's really cool, they do. But it's about time someone redid this thing and turned this into something bigger than, You
can also run it like the guys up there in Seattle with their rock thing there. You can run like we're doing a Fast Time Summer.
Oh yeah, no,
you know what I mean.
course.
Fast Time stuff will be in there this summer.
Well, for the Outsiders, we already got all kinds of stuff going on. We're doing an event May 6th at the Canes Ballroom. It's the second event that we've done. We've done one last year,
right,
with C. Thomas Howell and Darren Dalton, the tall Soch that came through. This year, I'm bringing Robert Romanus from Fast Times. I'm bringing Slim Jim. I'm bringing all my usual suspects from LA because they're all fans of the movie, and I'm also like, yo, come be a fan of Tulsa, the city, because it's a beautiful city with great people, and you'll understand why I bought the house, because if it wasn't for the love of Tulsa, I don't know that I could have got involved in this house the way I have.
Wow, you like it out there, huh?
I do.
Yeah.
It's just a slice of like middle America that's got, it had oil money from the 20s on. So it was like the Dubai of the Midwest at one point. And then the oil dried up. So it's got this beautiful, pristine Art Deco city downtown. And it had been dead for years, but now they're rediscovering there's art and culture. And, it's like the home of Leon Russell and J.J. Cale and
Sick.
Canes Ballroom, where anybody who coming up has played. And then when you get really successful, you sneak
Zeppelin.
in and play it again. Yeah. And then you sneak in and play it again. Sex Pistols. I mean,
yeah.
And then you sneak in and play it the third time to just show it's like CBGB's was, where like Metallica would sneak in for a night, or the Bad Brains would come back, or Prince used to play the country club in Reseda every once in a while under a fake name, just to do it, or the Rolling Stones used to play the what was it, not Mr. Chow's, but Chin Chin.
Yeah, Chin Chin.
People would just come and just sneak in and just play it one night, and you're like, that's the kind of place.
No, the King.
That's
King,
it.
yep.
That's it. On the corner of 3rd and La Brea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about, since this is a big music show, let's talk about hip hop back in the day. Like you get into it, of course, you guys start House of Pain, but
right.
I often say when I was young, I went to this club, this Camp Mendocino, and it was an urban camp. It was Oakland Boys Club, and we were up in Mendocino. These kids turned me on to Kraftwerk. They're popping, early on, man. That's it for me. Like, how do these 8-year-old, 9-year-old kids have this cassette of this German, synth band, and they're doing the robot, we are the robots, and all that. And then here comes, Rapper's Delight and all that Ground Zero. And I'm engulfed in that. And I'm way into hip hop back then. And also metal and rock,
Yeah, well, that's status quo. When you're a white guy, you're programmed to listen to Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, all that shit.
But I also worshipped Soul Train,
Well, so for me too. So I come here from New York, and people are going, say quarter, and I'm like quarter. Say water, I'm like water. They like say the roof, I'm like the roof. Like they call it roof, I call it roof. It was like everything was different. And then they started calling me Disco Dan. Those are fighting words back then, because I ain't having that shit, because everybody's listening to fucking, rock.
Yeah.
It's KLOS, KMET world, right?
Yeah.
But I'm from Brooklyn. My mother, like I said, she grew up dancing at the Peppermint Lounge, and her Motown record collection is biggest one, in the neighborhood. So I'm listening to Marvin Gaye and, all that shit since I'm a kid, right? Come out to California and they're not listening to that shit. Then roller skating is a big deal.
Big deal.
I grew up in the roller skating rink, so now we're listening to disco around the clock.
Me too.
And also they're playing like Devo and shit like that.
Yeah,
so
I love it.
Back then it was like, what was the motto? Like fucking punk sucks, disco's dead. There was like, it was like,
remember that?
Yeah, everybody was like, punk's for fucking fags and disco is for fucking black people. It was like, it was bad, It was like I grew up, like I said, in the San Fernando Valley. Now, the Sherman Square roller rink was on one side, and that's where like all the like hip hop early shit would be, and across the street was the country club and all the rock fucking dudes. So they were heshers to us.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck those dudes, and then those things let out at 2:00. All kinds of shit happened, and it really happened when punk rock started playing the roller rinks, because roller rinks were done, so they started leasing out those buildings as venues, and punk rock would end out coming out the same thing as the rock dudes, and it was on and cracking, and fucking at the time rock dudes were like dicks. They were just like, white trash, fucking rednecky, it was all their way or fuck you. And I was like, oh, my shit is
same in San Francisco. You had the Stone on Broadway, and across the street you had the Mabuhay Gardens, which was all punk. So you got full punk, and then you got full rock, and the punk guys would be like kill posers and all that speed metal and everything, like you posers, and it was battles.
Yeah, it was battles. And so for me, I'm like, listen, I like it all. Like Michael Jackson Off the Wall record was a banger, man. Like that changed my life. Meanwhile, I'm still loving like top 40 radio too, because I'm a kid, man. It's like pop music is playing, like pop.
Oh, Donna Summer, thank God it's Friday.
All that shit is popping. So it's like, it's tough because like you're forced at that age to make a choice.
Yeah,
nowadays kids are rocking Ramones shirts from the mall. Their parents are putting faux hawks. That shit is bananas to me. I don't have kids, so I guess I'm being a dick and being judgmental. But when I see that, I'm like, let these kids make up their own fucking mind. Like, why are you forcing them? Like, these latent punks are now making kids into like that shit is so corny to me. But I'm saying for me, I hear Rapper's Delight the first time I'm listening to it at the roller rink because it's a skate song, and I put it in the same category as I would put Rock Lobster, which by the B-52s, or One Night in Bangkok, or the Logical song.
Yep.
They were all like phenomenons, you know, like they were one of one. Like no other song sounds like this. This is the weirdest song ever, but it's catchy and we love it. There was no real hip hop yet in my world.
You're so right.
Okay. And then I start to hear The Message by Grandmaster Flash, and I'm like, whoa, that shit is bonkers. Like, I love that. And then, so I'm going to speed this just to get this. So in order to have a culture, legitimately, you have to have 5 things. And I got soaked up in the hip hop culture because there were 5 things. Those 5 things are art. So the graffiti got me open. When I first started seeing graffiti going back every summer, I was like, yo, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Speech. Okay, we had a different, that shit is fresh. My grandmother said the bread was fresh, or you were being fresh, watch your mouth when you talk around. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So there was like yo and fresh and
lingo.
dope, and so that's the language, right? There was an instrument. It was the turntable.
Yeah.
Although it had always played records, it had never been used that way as an instrument. So between scratching and mixing break beats, now you got an instrument. Had a form of dance. You said popping and locking. That's an LA thing. And I grew up watching that shit way before Michael Jackson was moonwalking.
Oh, way before
Kids
that.
in school where we were all, I already had that down.
Oh, yeah.
So when the world goes, oh my God, he invented something
No
that
way.
night, that shit was way
I was
old.
seeing that shit when I was
all
9.
of us on the West Coast.
Yeah.
On the East Coast or everywhere else, it was like, what the fuck did he just do?
Yeah.
So there's dance, and breakdancing for me was it. Like I only knew a handful of people who could do it, and even knew what the fuck I was talking about. And again, I watched it come up through the skating rinks because at a certain time they would stop the skating and take the skates off and turn it into a dance club, and then kids were getting acrobatic with it. So I seen it like growing, and music. Yeah. I mean, by the time Run DMC came out with their first record, it was all over but the shouting. Oh, and I'm forgetting one. I'm sorry. What did I count? 5 already, but fashion.
Clothing.
Fashion.
Exactly.
So,
clothing.
Because I'm 48.
Sweatsuits. Those Adidas sweatsuits, man.
I missed punk rock by 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay? So I was involved in like punk gangs in the Valley.
Yep.
And we used to go do what we do. And I'm going to tell you, it's the same appeal of doing what we do with Delta Bravo. It's the scavenger hunt of it all. So let me tell you, as a B-boy in a hip hop in the early 80s, if you wanted to find Pumas that were like purple or fucking yellow or pink or whatever the fuck you were looking for, they were not to be found in Woodland Hills, California. That meant you had to get your ass into somebody's car if you had somebody who could drive and was willing to risk it and go out to the Slauson Swap Meet or the Fox Hills Mall or any urban setting where you could find shit that they won't sell to white guys who play tennis in Woodland Hills.
Yeah.
If you wanted Cazelle's sunglasses, you better go to some fuddy-duddy ass store at the Promenade.
Yeah.
And for $250, no kid in their right mind could afford anything like that.
Well, you got all that
shit. So you better
shit.
steal that shit.
You had Varney's, Adidas sweatsuits.
Well, Varney's, we didn't fuck with those. Those were new wave prior to that.
But I mean,
so
for me,
you
had the members only.
Right. So I know what type of
Adidas top 10s.
Of course.
You know,
so that's more popping and locking look.
Right.
Mixed with a little bit of the surf shit.
Yeah.
When the whole Fast Time shit was popping, Varney's, OP's, Lightning Bolt, Town and Country, all that shit.
Also, remember Dr. J's.
Of course.
I mean, the Dr. J was the shoe.
Of course. So, but hip hop wise, man, if you wanted it, you had to assemble it and you had to go all over, just like punk. I mean, where do you get this? Where do you get bondage belts? Where do you get? No, you had to go up on Hollywood Boulevard and the creepers at Nana's and fucking whatever you were looking for. Bondage pants over here.
Brothers and Treasures.
Of course. Fucking Aardvark's Art Arc. The fucking, you want a trench coat or fucking, you know what I'm saying. So
I know what you're saying.
That's gone now. So unfortunately, the scavenger hunt takes place on eBay.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, the greatest part of going out, and that's why I love the BMX, because it was my first form of transportation, was getting on my bike with a few of my like-minded friends and riding up to, let's say, the surplus store.
Yeah.
And we're buying Dickies, and we're buying suspenders, and we're buying whatever, and then ride our, I keep saying drive, but it was all part of it. And and then when you assembled that fucking thing, when you would go out and you run into other cats who even had it better or was trying to get like you were like, wow, these are my tribe. Like, these are my people.
Totally.
Now we have this whole, it's a different world. So I remember being a fan, being at the first Lollapalooza and seeing Living Color on the same stage with Susie and the Banshees, Ice-T, and Jane's Addiction. I thought, this is mind-blowing because for the first time, everybody is like, all these acts are applauding the other acts. I watched them all stand on the side of the stage watching the other acts.
Yeah.
Where like people who used to go to see Jane's Addiction shows early on, you know what I mean, were not at the same guy that was at us. You know, maybe they were, but it was not cool to to do both.
Yeah.
That was the first time I seen from my own eyes the walls kind of like break down and universally be like, this is cool. And then fortunately enough, at that time we were just like an idea in my head. The next year we were on the main the second stage as the main act right below Pornos for Pyros, which was Perry's thing because they had broken up.
That second one was incredible.
We did the West Coast run of that.
Ministry.
Yeah, we did it was Pearl Jam, Soundgarden.
Yeah.
I don't know if you think maybe the third one. Were they? Yeah.
Yeah.
We played the West Coast, so we did the San Francisco one, the LA one, and a couple of them, yeah. And it was us and Cypress Hill at the end, and then Pornos. So it was Perry trying to show his new thing on the side stage, which was great. But the world's changed, man, and we just live in a different world for good or for worse. So at that time, that's how I get into music. That's my whole thing. You know, I listen to skate punk shit. I was in that whole Valley Gang thing a lot before anybody knew Danny Boy from House of Pain. They knew me from a punk gang in the Valley called Mickey Mouse Club, and we used to, there was other gangs like FFF and the Lads from Hollywood, and Suicidal had their gang, and that was the scene I used to run around with. And although I didn't consider myself a punk rock head, I listened to, I was listening to Suicidal Records and Agnostic Front and a lot of like New York hardcore type stuff and a lot of skate punk, Agent Orange and Ill Repute,
Harley and all those guys.
Yeah, and so, but mainly like, that West Coast thing was like white boys dressing like cholos, going to punk gigs or nightclubs like Phases and 321 and, and looking for chicks. So it was like, I grew up in that scene, and out of that, like, a lot of hip hop dudes were in there too. I was listening to them both at the time. So and never thinking, like this 25 years later, I'd still be talking about House of Pain. It was just one of those things you do when you don't have anything else to do, and you make a little group out of, it was just to avoid a real job at the time, never thinking it was going to pop, So the fact that I'm looking at going to 2 months away next month into Europe, all over the thing, doing festivals this weekend, it's still popping. So
is Lethal in it?
Yeah, everybody can't be House of Pain without the three of us, bro.
Wow.
So Lethal is running out that far down the street from here. I just called him before. He's like a tech guy. I could ask all my tech questions
of course,
with him.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna probably call him up and go see him in a minute, and another friend out here. But yeah, Lethal still, it's me, Lethal, and Eric brings a few of his band members from his solo stuff, so it amps up the live set.
Yeah.
And, we do our thing, and it's
I remember seeing you guys at the Fillmore.
That was early.
And it was fucking insane.
Yeah, that was good. Those were
good
good
we were
times.
talking about that, man, when I called you.
Yeah,
it's just like, it was radical.
I got to play you Tracy Quick before I leave. Don't let me forget that. It's a comedy. It's a crank
call.
Oh,
yeah, that's right.
He's so good, man. I can't get on the internet. You got to get me on what's the Wi-Fi passcode?
Absolutely.
I need it. But so music, we still do. But again, man, I'm a frustrated designer, that's like a graphic marketing guy. And
you get into Draplin and those kind of designers? Like
no,
I've had them on the show.
I don't know who that is, but I'll definitely check it out. But all the stuff I do, my claim to fame is just doing very simple black and white or cut and pasty type iconic logos. I don't get all fancy with it. And one thing I found out is that the simpler, the better. It passed the test of time, where I used to work at a company with another guy who was like a really incredible dude at Photoshop and Illustrator. But those designs, every couple of years, they get played, and then they become indicative of that era, and they don't last. So he's constantly looking to reinvent his style, and then for 10 years, he won't be relevant again, where I'm always doing very rudimentary type, black and white-ish kind of graphics, maybe one or two color, if at best, one dimensional, not like, and it always passed the test of time, so.
When are you moving?
We shall see. I'm going to do it in stages that I don't, jump in too quick. But I've been looking, and there's a historic hotel in Tulsa called the Mayo.
Yeah.
And I just did a walkthrough. They have half the hotel and then half
condos. Yeah,
like you can rent. It's like that, like townhouses and shit in there. It's a beautiful historic hotel. So I like it, and we'll see if that's where I end up. But I definitely need to be on set to get it opened and to run it for a while before,
of course,
turn the keys over. So.
What kind of music you listen to now? You don't go any hip hop now, right? You don't listen to any hip hop now?
No, sir.
You listen to rock or anything, or just old school shit?
Shit. Mostly like B-52s and weird like 80s stuff. I swear
Sick.
to God, like
Devo is one of the best bands of all time.
Devo's great. I love Devo, but I don't know that I listen to Devo all the time.
Yeah, they're
Here's
so
the best
great.
way to do it, I think. If you
Yeah,
look
just
at
go to your
one buddy's iTunes,
Uh-huh.
and then you see their most recently played, you would never guess this from me. I don't think most of my friends would. Only my wife would know these things. But let's see what it says.
Let's see what it says.
Library.
There it is, B-52s, Rock Lobster.
Right, but let's see
Terrence Trent D'Arby, one of the greatest of all fucking time. Dead Kennedys, a smashing record. You got some Venom there. Stooges, amazing.
Beat Street, but
Black
that's not
Flag.
so recently played. We're top most played.
Okay.
So this is something I can't even pronounce that Chino from the Deftones turned me on to.
Oh, yeah,
it's
badass.
like background type music.
Uh-huh.
But here, Cocktail Twins, fucking Carmine
Eurythmics.
Coppola from the fucking Stay Gold song from
Yeah.
The Outsiders. Fucking Glenn Campbell.
Glenn Campbell.
The Wichita lineman. I mean,
Awesome.
Massive
Pink Floyd
Attack.
Echoes, amazing.
You know, Tears for Fears, Van Halen, Public Image Limited, Steve Miller, Pink
Police.
Floyd, Neil Young, Meat
Ghost
Puppets.
in the Machine right there, buddy. You
Yeah, I
fucking,
see all your police
yeah,
shit.
dude, I'm
I'm
a police guy,
Me
man.
too. Me
Right?
too. This is my song Omega Man, but
I saw the Ghost in the Machine tour at the Cow Palace.
yeah, you're lucky. I
Fuck.
saw Metallica at the Cow Palace when
Yeah.
they just recently,
Oh,
5
yeah.
years ago,
Oh,
they
yeah.
did that rehearsal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was a guest of the band with my boy who's no longer with us, and we were just right there when they did it in the round.
That Cow Palace is an epic fucking
I know, all
room.
The events. The Longshoreman's Hall was one too. Up
Yeah,
all
like
that
the
shit.
way you feel about a lot of stuff is the way I feel about the
About
Cow
that. Oh,
Palace.
yeah, the
Because that's
history
where I
there.
grew up. I saw every rock concert there. My dream is to become the bigger comic
And then
to where
play it.
I can play it.
Yeah, hey, why not? I saw Dice play the
Of course.
Irvine Amphitheater and sell it out. He also sold out Madison Square Garden at the time. He was
Yeah.
the first comedian to ever do that, I think.
Yeah,
So why
yeah.
not?
Yeah, you're a comedy guy? You like comedy?
I love comedy.
I saw a picture of you at the Comedy Store.
Yeah, well, I go there for a different reason. I go there for
Oh, I
there's
gotcha.
meetings there.
I know,
but
yeah.
Pauly Shore is an old friend or an old associate. Let's just say that. Comedy, I love. I just don't love all the guys that everybody else seems to love. I
Yeah?
don't drop any names. Usually they're from the Boston area. I'm just not fans of some of those bigger ones. And I right now I don't know who's my favorite. Again, I guess it's getting old, man. It's just, the classics do it for me,
Yeah.
I miss the George Carlins of the world.
Unbelievable.
That kind of thing, and the Eddie Murphys.
You got to get into some of the guys there, like
But-
Burr, Bill Burr. Oh,
Yeah.
man, you'd love him if you like Carlin,
Yeah,
you know?
Everybody likes Bill Burr.
Eddie Murphy, the new Chappelle specials are on
Chappelle,
fire.
Yeah, he's a genius.
I got to get you down to the
trying
store.
to
Come
think of
see
it.
me do some comedy.
Yeah, are you there a lot?
Every night.
I'm there. I know a lot of people over there that I know Argus, and I know
Yeah.
I'm God in my head.
I'm there every
I know
night,
a
dude.
lot of those dudes down there. Me and Pauly go way back. I had him on my podcast a while back. He
Yeah.
was beating me up.
Yeah.
That fucker. He took me. I had my birthday party there. Probably one of the only like fucking plebs on the planet who had a birthday party there. It was like a star-studded event.
At the store?
Yeah, of course, in the main room.
What year?
In the 90s, 92,
Whoa.
93. Fucking just everybody who's anybody, we were rocking in there.
Yeah.
And he used to have a guy that worked for him called Grease. And I don't know what happened to Grease, but Grease was his assistant.
Uh-huh.
And Grease says, the place is haunted, right? And I'm like, bullshit. He's like, yo, Kinnison shows up. This one shows up. So off to the side of the main room, there's like green rooms.
Yeah.
I put my leather jacket. I had like some Chrome Hearts leather jacket, like a $5,000 leather jacket.
Yeah.
Like, don't let somebody steal it. I'm all like, coked out, got the fucking, all the leather shit to the side.
Yeah.
And at the end of the night, me and Juliette Lewis, like my old friend, that's my old friend, we were walking back to get our stuff.
Yeah.
And I went, whoop, and she went, whoop. And it was like, we both like, and she's like, did you feel that? What the fuck was that? And it felt like a cold energy just went through both of us.
Yeah.
So like fucking, I was like, yo, what the fuck? This place is haunted. Grab your shit. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
So a couple months back, Pauly was like, come in. I want to interview you on this documentary I'm doing. You dick? I'm like, all right, dick, I'll be there. But I brought a Ghostbuster machine. I have this thing I bought on the internet for like $50, but it's supposed to work because it's a spectrometer or a gastrometer.
Right.
It still does
Reads
the same.
energies.
Sure does. And although it looks like a toy, it's supposed to work just as good as any whatever could. I said, Paulie, do me a favor. So I retold the story I just told you. He goes, yeah, that's true. His place is haunted. Let's see if we can find some ghosts. And so we periscoped it. At the time, Periscope was like still popping. We didn't. It started to twitch, but it didn't make any crazy. But Paulie was at that point was a very good host. He's like, let me do this fucking, and he just went into his shtick. Yeah, and it was great following him around, and people were bugging out.
Wow,
like, yo, Paulie bringing Danny back in the old school room, and we were looking for ghosts. So.
I love him, man.
Shout out to Paulie, man.
He's like,
he's good. We've always had like a love-hate thing, even though, I used to just bully him around back in the days. So I think now he's trying to, I see him once in a while riding that fucking bike at Equinox and shit. That fucker. But a lot of history over there, man. And again, I know a lot of the younger comics that are like going in and out, and some people I've known for years that are doing their shows still over there. But comedy's one of those things, dude. If you got that, you can parlay that into so many other things, man. If you can, the gift of laughter is the greatest gift, one of the greatest gifts a human can give to another human, man. If you can make somebody laugh, it's everything.
It really is.
It really is.
It really is.
So I have nothing but the utmost respect for the comedian, you know what I mean? Even above a musician, I think, because although, music obviously is the universal language, for me, laughing, especially when you get that deep belly laugh, that soul laugh, where you're just like, it's up there with musicians. They're neck and neck, but it's a great gift, man. And
it's great.
If
I've been lucky to do both, man, and it's just like it's incredible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like those are like that's what's important in life.
Yeah,
those kind of things. Just finding something you love, honing it, and then giving it away. So with my collection, like I said, I'm not trying to come off as like, oh, I'm just giving all my shit away. I'm not, but I'm trying to do it for the bigger cause. I found a lot of like-minded people who love the same things that we love. And we all kind of pushing it along to get it to where it needs to be, so that when we're gone, the house is still standing in Tulsa, Oklahoma, for children to go, I read that book last year, or I read that book this semester, and this is the house where the movie was filmed, and oh my God, it's bigger than me. I don't even have kids. It's like, but I understand what it was like to be a kid, and I always wish there were some of those things for me. And we were lucky. We had water slides and Malibu Grand Prix, and all
Malibu
kinds
Grand
of
Prix,
shit like that.
Love
those kids
shit.
now don't got that, so like let's give them the outsider's house. Let's give them shit like that, something to remember. So,
and I always say everything analog is great.
I like it too.
Analog life. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
Well, dude, thanks for doing the podcast.
Hey, listen, it's been my pleasure, man.
And and it's opening. You're having your thing May 6th.
Yeah, May 6th at the Canes Ballroom, Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're bringing Ralph Macchio, C. Thomas Howell, Darren Dalton, Slim Jim, Robert Romanes, Slane, me, DJ Lethal. Who am I forgetting? Just a bunch of other, all of these other heads that are coming out from California that are my friends, a lot of New Yorkers that I know. It's friends, family, and all kinds of new people that we're meeting. But it's going to be a great little get-together, autograph signing, picture taking, meet and greeting, and all for a good cause, all to, restore the outsider's house.
That's dope, man. Thanks for doing the show. And your Instagram real quick is...
Exactly. Danny Boy 1968. Check me out, man. Dyslexic and all. It's Danny Boy Delta Bravo.
Danny Boy Delta Bravo. Okay.
You'll find it if you're looking anyway, man.
And your Facebook?
Same thing, man.
Okay.
Look up Delta Bravo. You'll bug out on all the photos, and you can get a better grasp of what we do. But
thanks a lot,
for having me, man.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Let There Be Talk. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on iTunes. That's how we keep the show in the top 100. And if you want to donate to the podcast, hit me up at deandelray@yahoo.com. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys.